Your mind is the battleground where victories are won or lost before anything happens in your life. Every day, thoughts fight for control. Faith versus fear, hope versus doubt, confidence versus insecurity. Negative thoughts don't just appear, they are planted. Sometimes by past experiences, sometimes by things people have said, sometimes by the enemy trying to keep you from stepping into your destiny. You may wake up feeling strong, but then a whisper comes. You're not good enough. You never succeed. Things will never change. That's the battle. The real fight isn't in the circumstances around you. It's in what you allow to take root in your mind. If you accept those negative thoughts, they become your reality. If you entertain defeat, you start walking in it. But if you recognize that those thoughts are just lies, strategies to keep you stuck, you can begin to push back. You don't have to accept everything that enters your mind. A thought may knock on the door, but you decide whether to let it in. Just because worry tries to settle in doesn't mean you have to host it. Just because fear presents itself doesn't mean you have to embrace it. The good news is, just like negativity can be planted, so can faith, hope, and strength. You can choose what grows. Fill your mind with truth, with power, with the promises over your life. When fear whispers, what if you fail? Answer back, what if I succeed? When doubt says, you don't have what it takes, remind yourself, I am equipped. I am capable. I am chosen for this moment. If your mind is a battlefield, that means you are a warrior. And a warrior doesn't surrender to every thought that comes along. A warrior stands firm, filters what they allow in, and fights for the right mindset. Because what happens in your mind will determine what happens in your life. Just because a thought enters your mind doesn't mean it defines you. Thoughts are like passing clouds. Some are light and uplifting, while others are dark and heavy. But no matter how long a storm cloud lingers, it doesn't become the sky. In the same way, negative thoughts may pass through your mind, but they are not who you are. Too often we identify with the thoughts that come our way. A feeling of fear arises and we say, I am anxious. A thought of doubt sneaks in and we declare, I'm not good enough. But feelings and thoughts are not identity statements. They are just experiences. They come and go, but the real you remains unchanged. Imagine someone knocking on your front door. Just because they knock doesn't mean you have to let them in. In the same way, just because a negative thought shows up doesn't mean you have to invite it to stay. A thought of failure may appear, but you don't have to entertain it. A whisper of insecurity may try to settle in, but you have the power to dismiss it. Your thoughts are often shaped by past experiences, fears, or even external influences. Maybe someone spoke words over you that planted seeds of self-doubt. Maybe past failures left a scar, and now every new challenge brings a flood of discouragement. But no matter where those thoughts originate, you have the authority to challenge them. You can question them, test them, and decide whether they align with the truth. Not every thought is worth believing. Some thoughts are distractions, some are mere noise, some are outright lies. The key is learning to separate what is temporary from what is true. You are not a failure just because you have a thought of failure. You are not broken just because a thought tells you that you are. Thoughts may enter, but they do not have the power to define you unless you give them permission. Instead of accepting every thought as truth, start filtering them. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me grow or is it holding me back? Is it leading me toward confidence or is it dragging me into doubt? The thoughts you nurture will take root. If you dwell on fear, fear will grow. If you dwell on faith, faith will flourish. If you choose to believe in your strength, your ability, and your worth, those truths will begin to shape your reality. You were created with purpose, designed for greatness, and equipped for every challenge ahead. Thoughts will come and go, but the truth about who you are remains unshaken. Your mind is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you focus on, you make bigger. If you constantly think about your problems, they will seem overwhelming. If you dwell on your fears, they will consume you. But if you focus on solutions, strength, and possibilities, they will expand in your life. Many times, it's not the situation itself that is the problem, but the way we perceive it. Two people can face the same challenge. One crumbles under the pressure while the other rises to the occasion. The difference isn't in what happened, it's in what they magnified. One focused on the obstacle, the other focused on the opportunity. When you keep replaying a negative thought, you give it more power than it deserves. A single doubt can turn into a cycle of fear if you let it. A moment of discouragement can grow into a mindset of defeat if you dwell on it. But just like you can magnify the problem, you can also magnify the solution. You can choose to focus on the things that uplift, strengthen, and move you forward. Your mind will always find evidence for what you believe. If you tell yourself, I can't do this, you will notice every reason why it's impossible. But if you tell yourself, I have what it takes, your mind will start finding proof of your ability. The more you focus on what is good, what is possible, and what is within your control, the more those things will grow. Think of a small light in a dark room. At first it seems insignificant, barely noticeable. But if you focus on it, if you fix your eyes on it, that light becomes the center of your attention. The darkness is still there, but it no longer overwhelms you. In the same way, the challenges in your life may be real, but they don't have to dominate your mind. You can choose to magnify the light, the hope, the strength that is within you. What you feed will flourish. If you constantly feed thoughts of lack, insecurity, and failure, those feelings will take over. But if you feed thoughts of faith, confidence, and gratitude, they will grow stronger. You may not be able to control every thought that comes to you, but you can control what you dwell on. You have the power to shift your focus, to magnify the good, and to create a mindset that empowers you to overcome whatever comes your way. Your mind is constantly receiving messages, some from your past, some from your environment, some from fear, and some from faith. But not everything you hear in your mind is true. Some thoughts are simply lies disguised as reality, meant to keep you stuck in doubt, insecurity, and limitation. If you don't challenge them, they can shape your entire perception of yourself and your future. Lies have a way of sounding convincing. You're not good enough. You'll never change. You don't have what it takes. These thoughts often come wrapped in emotions that make them feel real. But just because something feels true doesn't mean it is. A fear of failure doesn't mean failure is certain. A thought of unworthiness doesn't mean you lack value. The good news is lies lose their power the moment you confront them with truth. You don't have to accept every negative thought that enters your mind. Instead, you can counter it with something stronger. When fear tells you you're not capable, respond with, I am equipped for every challenge I face. When doubt says nothing will ever change, remind yourself, I am growing, I am learning, and I am moving forward. Imagine a courtroom in your mind. Lies step forward as the accusers, listing all the reasons why you can't, why you won't, why you aren't enough. But you are not defenseless. You have evidence that proves otherwise. Your past victories, your inner strength, your ability to persevere. The moment you present the truth, the accusations lose their weight. The case against you collapses because the truth is stronger than any lie. Every time you replace a lie with truth, you retrain your mind. You begin to see yourself differently. You begin to walk with confidence, no longer held back by false narratives that once kept you small. What you choose to believe about yourself will shape your actions, your habits, and ultimately your life. If you continue to hold on to limiting beliefs, they will create invisible walls that block you from stepping into your full potential. But when you consistently replace lies with truth, you unlock doors you never thought possible. Your thoughts are either building you up or tearing you down. Lies will keep you in a cycle of fear, but truth will set you free. The more you speak truth over yourself, the more it becomes your reality. Every time you replace a limiting thought with an empowering one, you rewrite your story. The words you speak about yourself, your future, and your circumstances are not just empty phrases. They are seeds being planted in your mind. Every word carries weight. When you repeatedly speak something, your mind begins to accept it as truth, shaping the way you think, feel, and respond to life. If you constantly say, "I'll never get ahead," your mind will look for evidence to confirm that belief. If you say, "I always mess up," your brain will reinforce that pattern, making it harder to break free from mistakes. But when you declare, "I am capable, I am strong, I am more than enough," those words create a mental framework that supports confidence, resilience, and success. Your words are like commands to your subconscious. When you speak negatively, your mind follows that direction, reinforcing feelings of doubt, discouragement, and defeat. But when you speak words of faith, hope, and determination, your mind begins to align with that reality. It becomes easier to push through challenges, take risks, and see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. Think of your mind like a garden. Words are the seeds, and whatever you plant will grow. If you plant negativity, fear, and self-doubt, those thoughts will take root and multiply. But if you plant encouragement, strength, and possibility, your mindset will flourish in the direction of growth and success. It's not just about thinking positively, it's about training your brain to expect good things, to look for solutions, and to believe in the best outcome. Some people don't realize they've been speaking defeat over their lives for years. Nothing ever goes right for me. I'll never be happy. I just have bad luck. Those words are shaping their mindset and reinforcing their struggles. But the moment they start changing their language, they begin to change their perspective, saying, "I am learning," instead of "I always fail," shifts the focus from limitations to growth. Saying, "I am making progress," instead of "I'm stuck," redirects the mind to possibilities. Words also influence emotions. Speaking fear strengthens fear. Speaking joy invites joy. Have you ever noticed how saying something out loud makes it feel more real? The more you declare something, the more your mind aligns with it. When you start speaking life over yourself, you train your brain to expect success, to see the good, and to walk with confidence. You can't always control the thoughts that pop into your mind, but you can control the words you choose to reinforce. If you want a stronger mindset, start with the words you say daily. Fear has a way of making things seem bigger, darker, and more impossible than they really are. It whispers worst-case scenarios, magnifies obstacles, and tries to convince you that danger is right around the corner. But the truth is, fear is just a shadow, an illusion that grows only when you focus on it. A shadow may look intimidating, but it has no real substance. It can stretch across the room, appear larger than life, and distort reality, but if you try to grab it, there's nothing there. Fear works the same way. It may feel overwhelming, but most of the time, what you're afraid of isn't as powerful as it seems. The moment you turn on the light of truth, the shadow loses its power. Think about the things you feared in the past, challenges you dreaded, situations you thought would break you, moments where fear told you you won't make it. But here you are, stronger than before. What once seemed impossible is now just a memory. Fear predicted disaster, but it never came to pass. That's because fear is not reality. It's a story your mind creates based on uncertainty. Fear thrives in the unknown. It fills the gaps with doubt, telling you, you can't handle this. You're not ready. What if everything goes wrong? But just because you don't know the future doesn't mean you should expect failure. Fear assumes the worst, but faith allows you to move forward even without all the answers. When you walk with faith instead of fear, you begin to see that most of the things you worried about were never real threats to begin with. Imagine standing in a dark room with a flashlight in your hand. The moment you point the light toward a shadow, it shrinks, loses its form, or disappears altogether. The same happens when you challenge fear with truth. The moment you step forward, take action, or refuse to be controlled by fear, it begins to fade. What once seemed terrifying is suddenly just another step in the journey. Fear also gains strength from hesitation. The longer you wait, the bigger the shadow grows. The more you replay fearful thoughts, the more real they feel. But the fastest way to weaken fear is to face it. Action dissolves fear. The moment you take a step forward, even if you still feel afraid, you prove to yourself that fear doesn't have the final say. The more you push through, the more you realize that fear was never as powerful as it seemed. Most of the limits in life are not real barriers, just shadows created by fear. They only have power if you let them. The moment you stop feeding fear with attention and start moving forward, the shadow begins to shrink and you step into the freedom, confidence, and strength that were always within you. What if the obstacle in front of you isn't blocking your path, but redirecting you towards something greater? What if the closed door, the delay, or the disappointment isn't the end of your story, but the beginning of something better? Every setback you face has the potential to be a setup for a breakthrough, a comeback, a new direction that leads you to a place you never imagined. Setbacks can feel like failure in the moment. You work hard, you give your best, and suddenly things don't go as planned. The promotion goes to someone else, the relationship falls apart, the opportunity you were counting on slips away. It's easy to feel discouraged, to think, maybe this is where it ends. But what looks like a step backward is often a divine setup for something greater ahead. Some of the greatest successes come after the deepest struggles. The people who achieve the most, who rise the highest, who make the biggest impact, aren't those who never faced obstacles. They're the ones who refuse to let those obstacles define them. They saw failure as feedback, delays as preparation, and rejection as redirection. Instead of letting setbacks break them, they used them as fuel to keep moving forward. Think about a slingshot. The more it's pulled back, the farther it launches forward. That resistance, that moment of being held back, isn't a sign of defeat. It's a sign of potential energy being stored up. Your setback is loading you with strength, wisdom, and resilience. When the time is right, you won't just move forward, you'll be propelled into something greater than before. Every challenge carries a lesson, and every disappointment comes with hidden opportunities. Maybe that closed door saved you from settling for something less than what you deserve. Maybe that delay was preparing you for something you weren't ready for yet. Maybe that unexpected detour is leading you toward a destination that's better than the one you had in mind. What feels like a loss today may turn out to be one of the greatest blessings in disguise. The key is to shift your perspective. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, how is this preparing me? Instead of focusing on what went wrong, start looking for what's coming next. Every setback is a setup, an opportunity to grow, to strengthen your faith, to develop resilience, and to step into a future that's greater than anything you could have imagined. Your mind is prime real estate, valuable, powerful, and capable of shaping your entire future. Every thought you allow in is like a tenant moving into your mental space. The question is, are you renting out that space to negativity, doubt, and fear, or are you reserving it for thoughts that build you up, empower you, and push you forward? Negativity is a terrible tenant. It doesn't pay rent, it robs you, it takes your peace, drains your energy, and limits your potential. Yet too often, people let it settle in without question. They replay past failures, dwell on criticism, and entertain thoughts of worry, insecurity, and defeat. But just because a negative thought knocks on the door doesn't mean you have to invite it in. You have control over what stays in your mind. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your home and start tearing things apart, but many people do exactly that with their thoughts. They let fear dictate their actions, let doubt steal their confidence, and let past hurts keep them from moving forward. If negativity isn't serving you, why keep giving it space? Imagine your mind as a hotel. Every room is precious. You wouldn't give the best suite to someone who disrespects your space, yet many people let worry and self-doubt take up permanent residence. It's time to evict those thoughts. Instead of allowing negativity to dominate your thinking, start making room for faith, gratitude, and confidence. Fill your mind with thoughts that empower you, remind you of your strength, and propel you toward success. Negativity often sneaks in through what you consume, conversation, social media, news, or even your own self-talk. Be intentional about what you allow in. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. Engage in conversations that inspire you and speak words over yourself that reinforce your worth and potential. The more you focus on the positive, the less room negativity has to take hold. Some people have lived with negative thoughts for so long that they don't even realize they've given them permanent residence. They wake up expecting stress, assume the worst in situations, and predict failure before they even try. But you don't have to live that way. You can start today by setting new standards for your mental space. Just like a landlord decides who gets to stay and who has to leave, you get to choose which thoughts have a place in your mind. Every time you catch yourself entertaining negativity, stop and ask, would I allow this thought to stay if my mind were a luxury hotel? If the answer is no, then don't give it a room. Replace it with something better. Protect your mental space, because what you allow to live in your mind will ultimately shape your reality. The people you spend the most time with, the voices you listen to, and the environments you immerse yourself in are shaping you, whether you realize it or not. Like a sponge absorbs whatever it's placed in, your mindset, attitude, and beliefs are constantly being influenced by what's around you. If you surround yourself with negativity, doubt, and discouragement, it will weigh you down. But if you surround yourself with positive influences, people who uplift you, words that inspire you, and environments that push you toward growth, you will rise higher, think bigger, and step into your full potential. Energy is contagious. Have you ever noticed how spending time with certain people leaves you feeling drained, while others fill you with motivation and excitement? That's because attitudes and mindsets spread. If you're constantly around people who complain, criticize, or see only obstacles, that perspective starts to seep into your thinking. But when you surround yourself with those who believe in possibilities, who speak life, who challenge you to grow, that mindset becomes your default. The right influences push you to become better. They don't let you settle in fear or doubt. They remind you of your strengths when you forget. encourage you when you feel discouraged, and challenge you when you start playing small. Sometimes all it takes is one positive voice to shift your entire perspective. The right people won't let you stay stuck. They'll help pull you forward. It's not just people who influence you. It's what you feed your mind daily. The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the music you play, even the social media accounts you follow, all shape your thoughts and beliefs. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, fear, or gossip, it will fill your mind. But if you choose content that inspires, educates, and uplifts, your mindset will begin to reflect those influences. Your environment matters too. If you're in a place that drains your energy, where you're constantly surrounded by stress, discouragement, or mediocrity, it will affect your motivation. But when you place yourself in environments that challenge you to grow, encourage creativity, and promote peace, you'll find it easier to stay focused and inspired. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs happen simply by changing who and what you allow into your daily life. You don't have to accept every influence that comes your way. You have the power to be intentional about what you allow into your space. If something or someone isn't adding to your growth, it may be time to reevaluate. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your victories, who see the best in you, who encourage your dreams, and who push you toward becoming the person you were meant to be. The right influences won't just change your mood, they'll change your future.